I'm standing in the bubble dome. The bubble dome that we built, we insulated, and now that we're making it look like a spaceship. We're using these colorful hexagonal tiles that are padded and soft and kind of squishy almost. They may look a little familiar because we made them from yoga mats. Using our shop bot, we're able to hold them down to the table and cut them out of yoga mats. It works great for a shape that's curved. And it also makes sense in the story that you want a spaceship interior to be padded, especially in the bridge. So that's how we're making this underside of the dome look more like a spaceship, and it has turned out great. Here's how we did it.
So you've seen us work on this foam off and on for the last couple weeks. After we get the shape on the underside of the bubble dome for the foam, basically how we want it, we've discovered that the spray adhesive we're using works better if it will adhere to latex paint rather than the foam itself. So we add a couple coats of latex paint over all the foam. These yoga mats that we're using for these tiles actually came from a like dollar store, a kid's dollar store, Five Below here in town. And first thing we tried was just using the drag knife on the shop bot. But the drag knife left these little artifacts in the corners where the knife kind of picks up and puts down, and it just was never going to work right. The problem with a yoga mat or anything soft on a shop bot is you have to hold it down. And we've got this great vacuum table, but you really need it super consistent. So I added this whole piece of MDF to the top of our spoil board on the shop bot and cut a whole different air plenum in it and routed the air into this top section that doesn't just hold the yoga mat still, it actually compresses it down with all this vacuum force. So the yoga mat doesn't move at all when we're using this big 1.5 wide 90-degree V-bit, and we get really great consistent tiles out of it. The colors we're using are going to vary a little bit from room to room. And I say room to room because we're going to start with this in the bridge, but I really like it. So I think we'll probably end up using it in some other areas too. So I got lots of different colors. I love the blues. I love the purple. I don't know that we'll be using the purple or the lime green in the bridge space, but I know we're going to find a good home for it. And the effect is turning out really well. It looks great. All told, we made something like 200 square feet of these tiles. It's a lot of them. And we still have the jig set up so we can make more if we need to. So here's Corey and I getting started actually like attaching them. And we had a plan and we'd done some tests, but you know, getting flat things to wrap around curved things is just complicated. And what we found is you really have to, especially around these ribs and where things get kind of screwy, you really have to pin some in place, because getting the error or the curve corrected for in one area might mean you need to think, you know, 1.5 feet or a couple feet away so everything lines up right, because we want our design to come together. And to account for the curve and variation, we're trimming hexagons down, but trying to keep the hexagons all as hexagons everywhere. So sometimes they get trimmed a little bit, but they still end up being, you know, hexagons, and the pattern looks cool. It really works. Unfortunately, it's still kind of a pain in the ass. And here's where Corey realized that the area he kind of wrapped up and around just wasn't gonna connect. And it was one of those moments of like, there's no good solution but to pull a whole bunch down. We decided to actually make that one space where that orange tile is a pentagon, just to highlight it. The idea that we can use some of these weird curved areas to add highlights. And so I like this bright orange one up there as a special piece. And then we just keep wrapping up and wrapping around. We're not done all the way yet, and it'll be probably another week until we have everything done, but so far it's just turning out great. We're getting the windows in because Talk's about to start painting the outside, and with the protective film on the window pieces he can just overspray. Everything is going fantastic.